Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast. On Friday, December 12th, I went to the Netherland Community Library to attend a reception for their current art exhibition, A Plague of Parody, created by local Brent Warren, a musician, a filmmaker, a magician, a painter, and a multimedia artist. As community members attended the reception, mingling amongst themselves and grabbing drinks, they sat down surrounding Brent to listen to him perform instrumental guitar jams. Brent expected his instrumental jams to primarily meld into the background as people walked around the community room. But as the chairs were set up around him, he was given the chance to mingle with the audience, discussing his work and the inspirations behind it. During the reception, Brent offered free copies of a book that he self-published.
At one point, Marnie is holding up a copy of my cat book, Quasum, Queen of Sofa Mountain, which I don't know where they're free. If you don't have one, free, take one. These 1990, I think, is when I published those, and it's my cat, Shirley Ujust is her name, Shirley. And every day she'd climb the sofa, and I just wondered, from a cat's point of view, what's going on when this cat is climbing this mountain? So this is Queen of Sofa Mountain, 1990, and the book is getting very rare. It's rare now. No, it really is rare. I only have 1,400 copies left. So get them while they're still hot.
Brent transitioned into his love of filmmaking, citing recently released films that inspired him personally. Tiny Tim, King for a Day, a documentary about the cult musician. Jay Kelly, a new Netflix drama starring George Clooney. And Rental Family, a Japan-based indie film starring Brendan Fraser. He also cited some of his overall favorite films, including Rear Window and Forbidden Planet.
Back in the early 2000, working on the Backdoor Theater Wednesdays, we would bring in classic films, and I was so happy I brought in Citizen Kane and Forbidden Planet, brand new print. And did you know that this movie, 1950, is based on The Tempest? Shakespeare.
Get at it.
One person is Prospero, and they said if you analyze it, it is loosely based on The Tempest. And if you didn't know, but Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill is based on Romeo and Juliet. I lie.
The 1956 science fiction film, nominated for the Academy Award for Best Special Effects, is in fact considered by many to be a loose adaptation of William Shakespeare's The Tempest. While film is one of his biggest inspirations, Brent himself has only made one film, the documentary Marvin's Flying Boat, about a Netherland man who spent many years building a scale model of the Spruce Goose, the plane flown and designed by Howard Hughes. Brent took a question from Guy Falsetti, president of the Netherland Area Seniors and vice president of the Backdoor Theater, about his other artistic inspirations.
Yes.
What's your favorite media to work in? Considering when I look at you're doing music, I think of film, I've seen video, I've seen YouTube, I've seen painting, I've seen sculpture. I think I'm missing probably 3 or 4 things.
Oh, the magic. The magic.
Well, my favorite medium is psychiatric help.
You need it.
Yeah. Well, I like to say I was born with insatiable curiosity, and somehow it all fell in place, and that's, I don't know what happened, but I was an only child, and just the other day I was talking to my sister. Well, she got married and moved away when I was 9, and so here I am all alone in this house in Omaha, Nebraska, with my parents who watched Lawrence Welk. And so I'm upstairs watching. They wouldn't let me watch Gunsmoke because they thought it was too violent. So instead, the only other thing on was Twilight Zone. That should explain it right there. And plus, in the 60s, the wonderful thing is the Friday Night Frights with your horror host. That's what I wanted to do, really, when we grew up. We had Grigor. Did you have that? Do you remember? This was a comic monster guy who hosted all the old movies that Universal released. The Werewolf, Frankenstein, Dracula, the classics from the 30s, And that was Friday night. So between Twilight Zone and that, and then I love music. I still have the albums. I love classical music. My sister was 10 years older than me, and she was into rock and roll. Philadelphia, Dick Clark, Bandstand. I didn't get it. I'm 9 years old going, what? I come home one day and she's crying. Oh, my God, I don't know. What's wrong? Billy and Mary broke up. The dancers on Bandstand. Every day you say, there's Billy and Nancy. And there's, But then I was into classical, Tchaikovsky, Prokofiev, Peter and the Wolf. Still have a CD version of The Weavers at Carnegie Hall. Great album. Pete Seeger, love that stuff, and got into folk music. And then this thing, I had a date in 1964. I had a date, and I took her home, and I was leaving, and I got stuck in a snowbank, and the radio came on, and something came on the radio, and I went, what the? Oh my God, what is this? Oh, and it was these guys singing, oh yeah, I'll tell you something, da, 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 da. I want to hold your hand, I want to hold. Changed my life. Oh my goodness. Well, and plus the music, I listen to music today and you go, well, some of it I love. My son, they turned me on to LCD sound system, and Daft Punk is playing at my house. Love it. Well, it wasn't just like the Beatles, just every song they wrote. But I have to admit, none of their music compared to the Trogs singing Wild Thing. You make my heart sing. You make everything groovy. But I have to admit, the group, though, that makes me dance around the house is the Beach Boys. Singing about, she took her daddy's car and she drove to the hamburger stand. God, well, anyway, that's sort of what I was doing when my folks were watching Lawrence Welk.
The art reception included a one-night-only display of photos created by Brent that did not make the final exhibition. The photos are composite images created with Photoshop, often utilizing captions, to poke fun at the absurdity of everyday life, provide social commentary, or simply deliver visual gags. One of the artworks that did make the final exhibition is an alteration of the famous painting The Creation of Adam, with God replaced with a golden retriever. Dog. On the left bottom side, a speech bubble reads, Michelangelo, you idiot. On the right bottom side, a speech bubble replies, so sorry, I must have heard you wrong. Gags like this populate the exhibition and Brent's multimedia work. Library director Electra Greer ultimately directed the conversation to the artwork itself.
I love it.
Can you tell us a little bit about your art?
Okay, well.
You want us to come in and walk around or anything?
Well, and it basically, if you read the little blurb over there, that's how it all started. Because in 1984, I bought the first Macintosh computer. I'm like, whoa, this is great. Because, it was designed to do art on, and the screen was only 4x6. Now, ironically, if you pick up one of my cat books, you'll notice that the drawings are 4x6. And that's because the original drawing was created on my little Mac. Remember the little tan Mac with 4x6 screen? Black and white. And so that was so neat to be able to say, no, the cat needs to be a little bit more over here, and we'll put the sofa over here. But then it was transferred over to Scratchboard, which I absolutely love. If you don't know what Scratchboard is, that's usually from Britain. It's a board that has white chalk on it, and then it's covered with black India ink. And then you take these sharp tools, like pens, but they're sharp, or gouges, and you scratch the white lines into it. So it's a little bit like etching. So that's the drawings in there were then done by hand with Scratchboard, but designed on the computer. But in 1970 or so, that giant pictures of my friend Lamont, who is a magician friend of mine, just like Larry Crowley here is a magician friend of mine for many years.
Oh, wow. Yay.
The Amazing Lawrence. Amazing Lawrence.
The two magician friends that Brent talks about here are the incredible Lamont Ream and the amazing Lawrence Larry Crowley, the latter of whom happened to seat himself to my right. A large photo of Lamont taken in 1970 by Brent greeted visitors into the community room. As Brent is about to discuss, that photo became the inspiration for one of his first digital photos. Attendees of the reception had the opportunity to write their own caption for the final digital alteration.
They didn't, and Lamont at that time was an escape artist, you know. Well, he actually opening the mall, we have a picture of him where he was hung upside down in a straitjacket from a crane 100 feet above, and he did the Houdini straitjacket escape. He had the milk can escape where he put him in, filled with water, locked him in. So he did all the classic escapes and the chains, the incredible Lamont. And they did an article in Boulder magazine in 1970, and I was asked to take that black and white picture of him on the track. You know, we said, hey, let's go out and do that. And that was in 1970. And then for 15 years, whatever, something was missing. Just haunted the heck out of me. What is haunting? And then suddenly along came Photoshop. And one of my first projects was I went down to Boulder Central Park where they have the engine and took that picture of the train, and through the miracle of computer science, put the train in, colorized it, added the smoke, and gave it the final tension it needed. And that's what started this, my love of creating images when I wasn't painting or doing fine art, painting with a computer. Now, I have to admit, none of these were done with quote-unquote AI. I absolutely hate the concept of AI. I probably could go out and say, okay, give me a picture of the Sistine Chapel and have a dog, and and in 4 seconds, that would come up. Instead, I do go out on, if I get an idea, one of the latest one was these ads on TV for these Carnival cruises and the things where they say, see Europe in comfort. I go, bullshit. I don't want sweat. I want to get dirty. I want to meet the people. I don't want to see it in comfort. Yeah. And so you'll see over there, I created see America in comfort. A carnivore land cruises. So there you go. You can be on the ship and you go through the Grand Canyon or the streets of New York or in an old Western town. So that was my statement against, give me a break, you know. And so it's fun to find a picture, find an image, and throw some fun out, parody, you know.
Brent is the kind of artist who lets his imagination take him anywhere. His natural integration of his comedy and humor into everyday conversations is masterful, and his creativity continues to inspire. As a magician, he's performed many times over the years under the alter ego Doc Murdoch. And while he still performs as Doc Murdoch from time to time, he now spends his local time consuming and creating the art that he loves. A Plague of Parody will be shown at the Nederland Community Library, located at 200 North Highway 72 in Nederland, through January 15th, 2026. To learn more about Brent and his work, be sure to head to his website, ImageLust, that's IMAGELUST.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Mountaineer Podcast. Be sure to keep an ear out for more podcast episodes and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. If you're interested in supporting local news from peak to peak, be sure to subscribe to the Mountaineer today. Also be sure to check out our Facebook and YouTube pages and follow us on Instagram at mtn.ear. If you have any questions or suggestions for the paper or for the podcast, be sure to reach out to myself at media@themountaineer.com, my co-host Tyler Hickman at tyler@themountaineer.com, or our editor-in-chief Barbara Hardt at media@themountaineer.com.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local peak-to-peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.